So this is September, of course, and it is Suicide Prevention Month. And today is just that particular day that we just take time to talk about this. And there's so much I'm looking forward to learn, because so many things have been said to us over the years. So many things have become normal. So many taboos, so many myths. But today, we're just going to just set the record straight. And I'm happy to have two beautiful women in studio with me, looking gorgeous. Mary and Wariemi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I was just in my head, I was repeating Wariemi, Msiseme Wairibo, Waremi. But I'm happy you ladies are here.
Thank you for having us.
This is a very beautiful conversation. Just before we get into it, we're going to start with introductions. Mary, this is your camera.
Thank you so much, Mwekari. I'm glad to be here this morning. My name is Mary Gitao. I'm a trained psychologist, and I'm happy to be here to discuss about this topic on suicide.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Maybe you can tell us the company that you...
Oh yeah, I work for an organization called Center for Suicide Research and Intervention.
Okay, what does it do?
So what we do as an organization is we provide a lot of awareness around suicide. We provide a lot of post-vention and aftercare to those who've been affected by suicide. We also do a lot of intervention, assessment, training gatekeepers, and just empowering people so that they can be able to work with people who are in a suicide crisis.
Great.
Yes.
Waremi.
Okay. Thanks for having me as well. My name is Warieme Karinge, and I'm the founder and CEO of an organization called Let's Go Mental Kenya. What we do in this organization basically is advocating to challenge stigma, advocating to get people to understand what a mental illness is, understand that these things actually exist, and it's not a curse, or it's not you being weak, but it's an actual illness. I'm also, of course, with the organization, I'm a mental health advocate, and I do suffer from depression and anxiety disorder. I have struggled with this for 6 years now. I sometimes look back and I can't believe it's been 6 years, because it can be very difficult when you're living with a condition. But yet again, you can also live a productive and fruitful life and be normal, like now the way I am here today.
Yay. Yeah. And I'm happy that we are having this conversation. There's a lot that's been talked about, especially during this month. But over and above that, one thing that really came out from the conversations that have been happening this month is the decriminalization of suicide. What does that even mean? You can start there.
I think the best thing, or what is happening that is so beautiful in this country, is actually that we are talking about decriminalizing suicide. And it's not about just decriminalizing it in the justice system, but in our social circles, in our religious circle. How can we be accepted in the community? Those who are struggling with suicide, or those who are in a suicide crisis, how can they be accepted in the community, in the social realm? Those people who are somebody who's attempted suicide, can they go back to the community and be taken and accepted the way they are? Somebody, when they say, I'm having thoughts of suicide, I've been thinking about harming myself. How do people view you as a person? Are you viewed like a normal person? Will you still be accepted? Can you still be given work? Can you still be employed in church? How do pastors and religious leaders view somebody who is struggling by suicide? As a community, when a family has lost somebody to suicide, how do we view that family? Like if it's a family that was doing so well, maybe the church leaders or their social leaders, or in the community or in the political realm, when they say that my child died of suicide, how do we take them in? Do we look at them like people who can support us, or who can still be able to work with us, or how do we look at them? So what is happening now that we are talking about decriminalizing suicide, and that you're going to accept everybody, so that we can have people seek treatment as opposed to them being taken to jail? Can you imagine somebody who is in a crisis going to jail again?
That has, when I talked about some of the things that we've had over the years, is that, and for some weird reason, it was ridiculous when I first heard it. I must have been way younger, but it didn't make sense how someone in that state will be put in jail because of that, instead of handling or understanding what the problem was. So that is what we're talking about, because the justice system has a huge part to play.
And unfortunately, it's a worldwide thing. So years back, there's some countries even in the world, when somebody died by suicide, their body would be dragged across the street so that they can discourage more suicide from happening. And of course that created stigma You know, and people became more fearful. Like, I am struggling with thoughts of suicide. How do I approach somebody and tell them, hey, I need help? You can't do that because you're worried the moment you say that, you'll be taken like a criminal. You know, people will view like, what is wrong with this person? And so that's been happening. And that's why WHO and KPA and other organizations are calling, hey, can we decriminalize suicide, especially at least by 2030? You know, we're not yet there, but can we go there? And even before we get there, can we empower as many people to help these people who are in a crisis of suicide? You know, somebody who is struggling with anxiety, you know, can they come out and say, hey, this is who I am? You know, this is the place I am.
And be accepted.
Exactly.
And not
you know,
face stigma.
Yeah.
6 years ago, Waremi, when you started the journey of, you know, healing, understanding, and even creating awareness around depression and anxiety, how was the society then? Have you seen something change?
Definitely there's been a very, very huge change because, to be honest, when I was diagnosed, it was more like, okay, what's this thing? Which direction am I going? And there's something that I always tell people is that, you know, you believe that once you're diagnosed, it's, you know the way you take antibiotics for a sore throat? So you think after a week, I'll be good to go, I'll be ready to go for work. We are not prepared. It's a very, first of all, when it comes to the medication or the treatment, it's not a one-size-fits-all. And I know I keep laughing with my therapist and telling her, you people just do trial and error on us when it comes to medication. Is this trial and error? Like, okay, let's try this medication at which is 20 mg, for example, and then do also this other one. Now they give you like a span of 2 weeks or a month to see whether the medication will kick in and whether it will work. And note, by the way, when you get onto mental health medicines, it does not start working immediately. It takes about 2 weeks, 3 weeks for you now to start seeing a difference. And then from there now you go back and you're like, okay, I'm still not able to sleep properly or I'm still not able to do this. So they remove you from one drug, they put another one, try another 50 mg and all that stuff. So you see, I didn't know that. I had to learn along the way. I didn't know. I mean, I was like, okay, when I was told I'm depressed, I'm like, how can this be depression? How can it be depression? Me, what I've seen on TV is people don't leave bed. I've been working, I've been doing things normally, but I also need to say something very important. Yes, I was diagnosed in 2015, but I started developing depression in 2008.
Whoa.
Yes.
Okay.
Because now, once I was diagnosed, then I was like, okay, no wonder the suicidal thoughts, no wonder the lack of confidence, no wonder the feeling of wanting to get approval from people, doubting yourself, and even the suicidal thoughts. And you can imagine so many people don't understand about suicide, and that's why we're talking about this today. So you can imagine for me at that time, since I didn't know what was going on, I'm just there, I'm suicidal. The more I'm suicidal, the more I'm hating myself, you know, because I'm like, what's wrong with me? Things in my life, things in my life are going well. I have this career going well. I have this relationship. What is wrong with me? So it just becomes a vicious cycle. Suicidal, hating yourself, resenting yourself, whatever it is, the suicide gets worse. So you see, it just becomes a whole vicious cycle. And before you know it, you've taken your life by suicide. So I can say, for me, I have experienced suicidal thoughts, and there have been numerous.
Were you able to talk about them then?
So at that point, when I started out, no. I couldn't share that with anyone because, of course, I'm like, what do you mean you're suicidal? How can you be doing this? I know if I'd said, my mom would have brought all the church elders to Ombe Mtoto because of this. So I really used to keep them to myself. And in fact, even I was just telling someone this morning that I've actually never sat down to talk about my suicidal thoughts. I've talked about my struggle with depression, anxiety, and all that, but I've never actually talked about my suicidal thoughts. And I don't know whether this would be the right time for me to talk about some of the incidences that I've had. Because like one of them, I remember in 2018, I was living in these apartments and I was on 5th floor. And I was in such a bad mental state because my business had closed down. I had lost my job 2 years prior to that. Things were just not working out. And then here it is that I'm struggling with this mental illness. So I would go to the balcony at around midnight, and told it to be around midnight. I go, I look down, and I'm like, now if I fall from here, for sure I'm going to die. So am I ready right now to die? Yes, I am, but I need to know what time is perfect, you know. So that was one incident that I had, and that one I reached out for help. Like it just reached a point, because you know sometimes people think that when you have depression or these conditions, sometimes you can't tell yourself personally. You can't tell, or you'll be in denial.
Yeah.
You know, until now a family member or a friend is like, you're not okay, you know. The other incident that I had was, in fact, that one really shook me, because I had been struggling for a period of about 2-3 weeks. And I found myself going out a lot. You know, first of all, I don't drink. I can't drink because I'm on medication.
Yes.
So, but I like going out. I like going to dance and stuff like that. So I remember now then I didn't want to be alone. So it was a Friday night, and I went out with a friend of mine somewhere in Lavington, and I danced my heart away, and I enjoyed, and I did whatever. So as soon as I got home, I was done. Like I was done with life. Like I was just done. So I started looking at the curtain rod to see, will that thing be strong enough to hold my weight? So there's that. Or should I take my medications? By the end, I think maybe you can add on to this, but I've also noticed that the suicidal ideations somewhat are always the same. So if someone always thinks, so like now for me, it has always been throw myself over the balcony. So even the medication doesn't make sense. So even that day when I was looking at the curtain rod, it still was not satisfactory for me, because that is not the suicidal ideations I've had. The suicidal ideations I've had is to throw myself over the balcony. So it will never change. So there's that thing, you'll just find that.
That's a fact.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you see, again, with suicide, it's there's a will to die and a will to live.
Okay.
You know, and so there's that battle within self where, how do I want to do it? Which one will make more of an impact? So you keep on ideating on that, you know, imagining or kind of visualizing or wanting to use that means, and better, so you want to perfect that, not moving from point A to point B, but you want to keep on perfecting that. So I thought of first floor, or maybe I've attempted on first floor, it didn't work. So I want to keep going higher. So that's what she's actually saying is actually very true. Yeah.
So it's actually that has always been whatever. So then that day, to be honest, because I believe I would not be here today if it was not for a guy who kept disturbing me. You know?
On call.
We're going to go with disturbing. We're just going to go with
disturbing. I mean, it's in the mental health space.
Yes.
But for some very strange reason, okay, I'm a very spiritual person, so I will say God is the one who sent that guy to call me.
Yes.
So that was around, I think I got home at around 1 a.m. So this guy started calling me on WhatsApp. He gave me 3 missed calls. Then he called me directly. Not this is 1 a.m. He called me directly, twice. So now I was like, what's wrong with this guy? I've already told him I'm not interested. Why is he disturbing me? Anyway, now, because you see now me, I'm in the middle of planning my suicide. Why are you disturbing me? You know, but something just told me, just call him back. You know the first thing he asked me? Are you safe? For some very strange reason, that's the first question he asked me. Are you safe? So I told him, actually, I'm not trusting myself. So he said, okay, since I'm all the way in Kasarani, I cannot come at this time of the night. Is there a friend that you can contact? So I started telling him, no, as in I'm done. So I remember him saying, please don't do this, even please don't do this, even just for my sake. I was like, okay, really? Just say.
He didn't have anything else to say. It's like, I'm going to put myself on the line.
This. I'm like, but you, really? I'm like, but anyway, so he encouraged me and he pushed me to speak to a friend of mine who actually now came to pick me. And I went and I slept in their house for like a whole week. I didn't wake up. I didn't talk to anyone. They used to bring food to the bedroom. I have very, very good friends, and I'm really thankful for that. So that basically has been my journey on suicide. And as we're talking about decriminalization, it's something that's very important, because I don't want to imagine going through those suicidal ideations and then you're thrown in jail. When I think about it, it's horrific, you know, because what I need is medication. What I need is therapy, you know. Unfortunately, there was a video I was watching yesterday just to prepare for the interview, and most of these people are like, no, you know, suicide is a crime. People need to be taken, you know, selfish. Why don't people think about the family? But then I was like, you know what? We as advocates, as mental health advocates, we need to keep having these conversations, keep talking about them, even if people don't want to listen, keep talking. They will start listening at some point. And we can get to a point where we decriminalize suicide. In fact, I think in Africa, if I'm not wrong, I think Kenya is one of the few countries that has not decriminalized.
That's still a crime.
Then I think
so I don't know how many countries, I can't remember exactly how many countries have not, but there are not more than 20.
That's why we need to keep having these conversations. We're going to take a very short commercial break. When we come back, we'll find out what CSRI is actually doing, and especially during this month, what has been the conversations around this, what are the words we use, because some of the words we use, we just need to work on that. But if you have any questions whatsoever, if you've experienced these thoughts, if you know somebody who would need help, 111 444 111. That is our SMS line. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Full Circle with Mikali. A very good morning to you. Remember, you can send in all your questions. Have you lost someone to suicide? Have you experienced stigma around the same? Have you seen something happen in society and you feel they need to talk about it? Have you experienced suicidal thoughts and you're wondering what to do? Do you know? Today, we're here for you. September is Suicide Prevention Month, and this conversation has been very loud this month. It doesn't mean that we're going to stop. But today on Full Circle, we're talking about decriminalizing suicide. We're sending your questions, 111 444 111, and it's just going to cost you a shilling to do that. Switch TV KE on Instagram, Switch TV Kenya on Facebook. Now, just before the break, I talked about that we're going to get into what CSRI is doing. But just before we get into that, let's just talk about the stigma for a bit. And it's different for different cultures. You mentioned that in some parts of this world, people would be dragged to just make sure that mmeogopa msifanye. In some communities, you'll find that mnaziko usiku, and probably hakutakuwa na pasta, ama unachomwa. Unachapwa. The body.
Yes, like disciplining the body. How could you do this? And it's been bad. So some cultures, even in our country, mtu akijiua, so they kind of punish the body. How could you do this? Why did you leave this? Why did you leave this? The family. So they would get like watu wa kijiji, all the community members, and they would come and punish you. You've brought bad omen to our family. How could you do this? We didn't bring you like this. Why couldn't you get somebody to talk to? All that. Yes. Yet what you're failing to understand is the pain that this person who is suicidal is feeling. We can only learn from those who've been suicidal, those who've been in that space. What we know, however, is that suicide is an extreme psychological pain, as defined by founders of suicidologists as psychic. It's an extreme pain, Then the other thing is suicide is systemic. What's happening in our community? What's happening even in our country? Why are we even having so many rates of suicide in the last, the data that we got from the police for April, May, and June? Almost 500 persons dying of suicide. Where are we politically? Where are we economically? Culturally? The pandemic has not even made it better. It's made it worse. People have withdrawn, and they've just, the loneliness. Social distancing, and you have to keep home. The social joints where people used to go out and have fun and hang out, it's no longer happening. So people have gone back to realizing, who am I? And as Wairima said, getting to that place of desperation, hopelessness, and you're on your own. You have nobody to talk to. So, and then other communities kind of pushing you to the edge. When you come to talk about your fears and your pain, people tell you, how could you? What are you lacking? Even as a family, when I'm probably trying to tell my mom or my significant other, this is what I'm going through. And what are you
Shida
lucky?
iko wapi?
Yes. Si unaendanga
Si
kanisani.
unaenda na
Yeah.
siko kazi, tuko watu wanasoma
Exactly.
vizuri.
You know.
But
you
then that is not the solution. You can't be
Exactly.
asking them that,
Exactly.
because now I feel bad about myself and I'm not counting my blessings.
Yes. And so if you hear that, mtu akisema you have everything figured out. Sasa unasema nobody is understanding me. So you withdraw, and then it pushes you to the extreme. So we need to get to a place of, how are you doing, Wikari?
Genuinely
asking, you know, because as we said, there's a will to live and a will to die.
Yeah.
If we get to intervene at that point when there's a struggle, and we genuinely get concerned, like her friend, they will live.
Because I'm sure you felt when he asked, and that's the reason why you've never forgotten it.
Yeah.
When he asked, "Are you safe?"
Yeah.
It's because it hit home.
Yeah.
Because it came from a place of, I genuinely want to know.
Yeah.
But we don't do that. We're just, hi, how are you
I
doing?
know.
Yeah.
And I don't even wait for you to answer.
Yes. How are you doing, Makari? Like, unakuja hivi na
Nishaenda.
nishaenda. I don't even hear what you've said. You
So
know?
we need to start at the level where we are really concerned.
Yes.
Genuinely
Genuine
concerned
Yes.
about our friends, people we work with, and be careful of the things that we say. Our mouths, my God,
Exactly.
they're the worst.
Yeah.
They are the worst. We
I
say
know.
things,
Yeah.
and that leads us to, the right words to use. And maybe Arime, you can take us through that.
Yeah.
What are the right words? What are some of the words we've been saying or phrases we've been using that we
Yeah.
should stop?
Okay. The first, actually, for me, it's the first and the most important, is the word committing suicide. Now, when you say committing suicide, it sounds like this person has committed a crime, you know? So the people in the mental health space are trying to change this way of describing it to this person died by suicide, you know?
Okay.
They took their lives by suicide. So just to be able to break that stigma around, they committed suicide, this is what they did and stuff like that. So for me, I would say that is the key word. There are times I think in Kiswahili, I've heard people saying anajinyonga.
Okay.
For me, I find it so, I can't
Yeah.
explain.
I feel.
Yeah, anajinyonga. So, I think we also need to figure out how to change that vocabulary. As much as also it's being changed in English, I think there's also a way we need to consider it for Kiswahili, so that it doesn't sound too graphic and having the person having to go through all the stigma and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that is what I would say for that.
Okay.
And even changing in our Kenyan language, the language that we use, all of us in Kenya, how do we say it to people? Like, what terminologies do we use? Think about this. Somebody who is dying in an accident. When they die in an accident, even when they're, drunk driving, unfortunately, do we say they committed accident?
No, watu walifariki, jamani
I know, and we really feel for them. You know, and
God. I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
And this is another person who is psychologically not well, emotionally, financially, economically. So why can't we take them to that space again? They died by suicide.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
they didn't commit suicide.
Yeah.
They didn't commit an accident.
Yeah.
Even when we know it is careless driving, we don't say
Yes,
that.
We don't say that.
Yeah. So just having that compassion. Again, even when somebody dies by suicide, how do we treat their family? What we know, the ripple effect of suicide. One person dies, that person dies and goes. A minimum of 135 others are affected.
That's true.
How do we take care of these people who have died? How do we address them? Tuko kwa ile familia ya mtu mwenye alijinyonga.
That will be it.
What is it doing to this
To the
person?
family as well.
If they're young children, the trauma that these people grow in.
Let's have some compassion.
Exactly, the stigma. So it has to start with the wordings. It has to start with the action. We say goodbye to this person who has unfortunately died, but then taking care of these others that have been affected. Because if we don't, and the stigma is too much, unfortunately, we might also lose them that way.
Yeah.
So we want to take care of every person in that space. And that is why, as an organization, we're trying to even enlightening or working or empowering people in the community, and we call them gatekeepers, because all of us have the capacity of doing one or two things.
That's true.
All of us have something. we have to start with, what do you know? Can you be able to identify the warning signs? What are the risk factors of suicide? What are the warning signs? You know, what are the triggers? How can you stop the triggers? At what point do you intervene? You know, and intervene, what do you do? You know, at what point do you refer to this person to a professional? Her friend called at 1 a.m. He is very far and she is far. But you see, in his mind, he knows I can send somebody. I cannot be able to get there. And some of these crises happens at night when you're sleeping. And we know what is happening in the last 1 year in Kenya. We are under curfew. So I cannot go.
The night is longer.
You know, the night is longer. So I cannot go. But how do I keep her safe? It is the words that I use.
Yeah.
Because a single word can change everything.
That is so true.
A single word, a single phrase. Even when, you know, even when it is not making sense. You know, like this guy just, that word, even if it's for me.
Even if it's for me.
Even if it's for me.
Just don't do it.
Just don't do it. And immediately calling for help. So he's on call with her and probably texting somebody else to find help. You know, so that's why as an organization you're trying to train as many people as possible to know how do you intervene. The other thing we're doing as an organization, and we're actually having that event the other Saturday from here, it's called the Human Rebranding. So we want to get people to talking. Let's hear stories, positive stories of how people have made it. You know the way you get a book and read?
Yes.
You go to a library and read. So we are doing a human library where I'll get a person and read from them. Because their storytelling in mental health is doing wonders. It is saving so many lives. So we want to open the books of people. And we want to read people, we want to hear people, we want to be able to intervene where people are. So we are having that event on the 25th of September at the Nairobi Arboretum, and we are inviting as many of us that can come to come. Let's just hear from each other. Let's share our stories. Let's strengthen where we are, because all of us may not be able to reach a mental health professional.
Yes.
But all of us can be mental health advocates. We have something within ourselves that we can be able to do. The other thing we've realized is what works here may not necessarily work here.
Okay.
Even in suicide prevention and intervention, communities view deaths differently. We know how people in Central Province or Mount Kenya view death, and you know what people from Western view death. So we want to involve the community to hear from them. How can we come and help you to intervene or prevent suicide? We want to go to Central, we want to go to Turkana.
Hear from them.
Hear from them.
And then from then you can make a basis of how to intervene.
Exactly.
How to help. And
How
how
to help.
to even disseminate the information that you have to help the society.
Yeah, because they know better. They know their people better than we do. We are only in Nairobi, like I'm in Nairobi. How do I know somebody in Mararal? How can I be able to prevent them? You know, I need to hear from somebody in Mararal.
That is so true.
You know, so that's what we are doing as an organization.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
We have a couple of questions here.
Okay.
Hi, Wikali. I'm Florence, watching from Ukambani, and I've been struggling with suicidal thoughts for over 10 years now. And like that lady in the show, I have no friends, neither anyone to trust with what I am going through. And I don't know what your word. She just stops at that. She's Florence, and she says from Ukambani.
Hi, Fro. So what you can do, you can reach out to us. And we are happy to have a conversation with you. Just probably text your number to us and we'll get back to you. We will call you. And our number, we can give our number?
Please.
Our number is 0703 388 130.
Great. I'm being told our time is up and I'm just like, what are you saying? What time? We've just started. Okay, so I'm going to read another question really fast.
Okay.
I won't say my name since we are watching the show with a family and they do not know about my struggles. Myself, I've been having suicidal thoughts, self-harming here and there, and I've been depressed for a while now. I have a question. What are they doing to make therapy and other mental health services and treatment available to even those of us who can't afford the said services?
Okay.
So it's like 30 seconds.
Like 30 seconds.
Yes.
Okay, so the good thing is, you see, like now with such, our environment has always been that mental health treatment is only done in Mathare.
Yes.
Yeah, and then if it's not Mathare, it is Jiromolin, which is also now for the high-end thing. But what the government now is doing is that they have turned most of the level 4 hospitals in someone can get mental health treatment for that. Yeah, so any level 4 hospital or clinic, you can definitely get mental health treatment from that. If someone needs further guidance, they can also go to my page.
Yes.
It's on Instagram. I'm very active on Instagram. So it's letsgomental.ke. So either send me a DM and then I can send you the list, or they can also check on the highlights on which hospitals are closest to them, and they're the ones that can visit. So I must say, so far the government is, they're starting to take this suicide thing and mental health seriously. Yeah, so for that question, then another 30 seconds.
Yes.
I think this is very important to tell people. Now, sometimes people think that suicide is selfish. People think that you're ungrateful. But I just want to explain to people that by the time you're becoming suicidal, you're in such a place of hopelessness, worthlessness. You just don't see any hope in the future. You know, someone who's in an ICU bed or HDU bed and they're able to talk, they'll always say, when I come out of here, I will. That means that they still have that hope.
Yes.
But with someone who is having suicidal thoughts, it's gone. It's gone. Nothing makes sense. Nothing at all makes sense. It's a very difficult place to put in words, but I'd just like people to know that even me as a person or whoever is struggling with those suicidal thoughts, it's a real struggle for them. That lady who said she's been struggling for 10 years, I must really commend her. I must tell her she's a very strong person, extremely strong person to be able to have overcome those suicidal ideations. And then, of course, the most important thing people need to know is when you're struggling with suicidal thoughts, please reach out to a psychiatrist. They put you on medication, which balances the chemicals, which will now reduce the urge to commit suicide. Yeah, so I just thought that is very important to mention that it's a struggle. It's a struggle. It's not that, And then people, most of the time.
Jamal, do you have time for one more question? One more, just one more. So that we don't. Thank you. Thank you, Jamal. God bless you. Hello, Mwikali. First and foremost, I'd like to encourage you to continue airing programs that educate the masses. I've struggled with depression and anxiety disorder for 6 months now. That's after I lost my daughter and my fiancé left me. I have contemplated suicide not once or twice. It's very difficult to keep pushing forward. To be honest, I am tired of fighting. Please, those numbers, the places they can go, that there's help for them. Let's just repeat that as I read one last one.
And then I can also repeat my number.
Yes.
So the number to call is 0703 388 130. We have counselors waiting. Just text us your number and we will get in touch. Our platforms at CSRI Center, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And then for me, my number is 0722 354456. Now they have therapists. For me on my end, I support people one-on-one.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you reach out to me, we can just chat. I also have a support group for women who struggle with mental illnesses. So if they can reach out to me, then I can also assist them. Now
Let's Go Mental.
Yes, Let's
Go
Go
.ke.
.ke
On Instagram.
Yes.
CSRI. You have to
Yeah.
say it like I'm a Odongo. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Yeah.
for having us.
Wariemi.
Yeah.
I got it the whole time. I got it the whole time. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you
through,
for
for
having
having this
us.
conversation, and we should have this conversation some more.
I agree.
We are going to take a very short commercial break. We will be right back. Don't go too far. This is Full Circle with Mwikali.
Thank you.